What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our continued Beatles album review series with all my Beatles buddies, Ryan, Nick, Jason, and Scott. Guess you can
There's a
make
bulldog right there.
And a bulldog.
Oh, how you gonna
Hey!
doing tonight?
Quiet, all right, quiet.
Doing all right.
Doing
All right,
great.
good,
Yeah,
very good, very good.
I mean, this is going to be an interesting album to review, but
Yeah.
still, anything talking anything about the Beatles, even if it's their quote unquote worst album, is still going to be fun.
Yeah, and then once we finish the Beatles, we got all those solo albums and they have varying degrees of quality.
It's gonna be a while till we're completely done with the Beatles, especially since Ringo just dropped that new album.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's a really good album.
Yeah, me and Adam and Jacob are going to review it on his channel.
Yep, looking forward to that. Well, we'll be talking about Yellow Submarine tonight. So, without further ado, Jason, do you have any
Background information.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about, like, I don't feel like there's a lot of information on this album to me, because basically somebody, I don't know, I didn't even look up, somebody came up with this idea. Of course, it came up with the idea because of the song Yellow Submarine on the Revolver album. Someone came up with an idea like, let's make a movie, a cartoon movie with the Beatles, and somehow wrote a screenplay around the song Yellow Submarine and kind of made a fantasy kind of screenplay or whatever behind that. And yeah, the four Beatles are in it, but the Beatles themselves really had nothing to do with the movie, had no involvement. They don't even voice themselves in it. They hired four British actors to do the voices of the Beatles. So they sound kind of similar, but not quite them, but it's like, good enough, I guess. As a kid, I always thought it was the Beatles doing it. It was much later than I found out, like what, the Beatles aren't even doing their own voice acting? Like, it's not even a Beatles movie. Like, to me, it's like, I mean, I don't know. Except they have Beatles music, I guess we can say it is. But yeah, so yeah, if you know the movie, it's the Beatles go to this Pepperland, I'm guessing is the name of the place, and the Yellow Submarine, and there's blue meanies that are taking over the place or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so then the Beatles at one point, I think, dress up as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and sing All You Need Is Love. I think that saves the day, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
It's super dumb.
That's the Cliff Notes version of the movie.
They have the giant flying glove, which is going to crush all of the. There's a picture of it on the album cover. The giant flying glove, which is going to crush all of the citizens of Pepperland. And the only way to defeat the glove is by taking the G off of glove and turning it into love and singing "All You Need Is Love." That's literally how they win in the movie.
That would explain the rather large foot in Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Well, to quote Monty Python, get on with it.
Yeah, so they made the movie, and so they put out a soundtrack for it. Of course, that's what we're doing, Yellow Submarine. The Beatles did write 4 songs, so we're only getting 4 kind of somewhat newer songs. I mean, because Yellow Submarine was on Revolver, All You Need Is Love is on Magical Mystery Tour for the U.S. album. Anyway, so it's the first UK album, I guess, that has All You Need Is Love is on it. But that was also a single, so it was known already. But then they have 4 new songs that they put on the album. Then the second half is all George Martin's orchestra, score for the album. So that's how they put the album together. The Beatles do appear at the very end of the movie, because I think when maybe they must have saw like a a copy of it or something, and they were hearing good buzz about it. So then they decided, hey, we want to be in it. So they have just in it for a minute at the very end, which is kind of funny when you watch it. You're like, oh, what's the live action Beatles?
It's actually that.
I mean, it's almost like that. Hey, thanks for watching the movie.
This is Phil Spector. I mean, Paul McCartney. Thank you for watching our movie.
And then They end the movie singing All Together Now, and that's the end of the movie. But besides that, that's all the information I have.
That's actually the only scene of that movie I actually liked.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. So, what are everybody's brief thoughts on the album, or any thoughts on the movie if you've seen it?
Haven't seen the movie. I kind of want to, just for the sake of what is the context of half of the stuff that's going on.
We should do a watch along of this movie.
I'd be down for that, but there's a reason why my lower third is contractual obligation. I was going to put it in as a joke because I was thinking to myself, okay, reruns of songs that have already been released, and then clearly this must have been like, you need to do this, and like, okay, but I had no idea there was actual legit contractual obligation involved in this. So it was a joke on purpose, I suppose. I was the first 5 songs on this album, like, okay, I like it. I mean, All You Need Is Love I've heard before, like some of the ones I've heard before. And then as soon as it gets to the George Martin stuff, it's fine, but I just completely it just started to blend together. And like I was saying before we went live, it doesn't help that 3 of these songs are literally named Sea of, and then adjective afterwards, like Sea of Monsters or Sea of Thieves. And I'm just like, really? No creativity in the names? Really? But it's not the songs I like, but there's a lot of filler on here. So this is a bizarre one for me because they're the ones I like, but they've been on much better albums than this. And the original material is just not super great. I don't know. I'm at a loss on this one.
Okay, I just changed my name again.
Nick the Defender.
Yes. So I know I'm going to be in for a lot of trash talk. Ryan, Jason, Scott, and Jacob. I know that. You know what? Fair enough. I used to say the same things as you guys, but it just strikes me as bizarre as a lot of people like to call George Martin the 5th Beatle, but then say the songs aren't Beatles stuff. But hey, isn't he the 5th Beatle? Isn't he the 5th Beatle? I don't know. If you're going to call him the 5th Beatle, then shouldn't his tracks count as Beatle material? If he's really the 5th Beatle? That I'm just saying. But regardless of the movie part of it, I love the movie.
Oh, okay.
I love it. It's bizarre. It's weird. It's drug fueled, and I love it. It's a great, great movie. I probably won't do the watch party because it's probably gonna be Scott nitpicking at all the things that's wrong about everything, and I don't want to be involved in that. I just want to enjoy the movie. No offense, Scott.
If it wasn't, then it would just be
yeah.
And you can't really have a video with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say anything. But I love the movie, and you know what? I love the album. You know why? Because they did the smart decision by putting it in 2 different halves.
Yeah.
Hard Day's Night and Help, they mixed the tracks.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? That is stupid. Those albums I hate because it's like you're mixing all the instrumentals. It's like a mess. It's like a mess of an album. But I argue, yes, Yellow Submarine is reused, but it's the theme song. Obviously, you're going to want to have the theme song, and All You Need Is Love. It wasn't on any of the UK albums before. I mean, yes, it's technically on a US album, like Jason said in his background info. But who cares? It's All You Need Is Love.
Well, I mean, that was kind of one of the biggest songs in the movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. Plus, Americans didn't know the UK didn't have that on their album, so that's just my defense. And you know what? I like all the instrumentals. I don't know. I'm a sucker for orchestral arrangements, and the more I've been listening to this album, the more I've been really enjoying them. Will this get a 10 out of 10? I'm still undecided on that because I don't want to give it a 10 and get hated by the Beatle fan community. because I gave Sgt. Pepper's a 7.5 and giving this a 10. But at the same time, it's like, I like everything on this album. But then it's like, yeah, there technically is 2 repeats, so it's gonna come down to how I feel at the end of this review.
Yeah, I never listened to this album. I pretend this album doesn't exist. When I do my Beatle rankings, I never rank this album. I just rank the other 12. I pretend this isn't, to me, this isn't an album. it's just a throwaway thing they did. And it's officially an album, I guess. I can't deny that, I suppose. But to me, I just don't even think it's an album. I mean, there's 4 originals, and I never listened to those 4 original songs either. I just don't have anything to do with the album. So it was interesting listening to like the first time and going through everything and going, okay, this is what the second side, especially. I was like, I have no idea what the second side is going to sound like, and like okay, now I kind of have an idea what it sounds like. And I'll probably buy this at some point just to complete my Beatles records, as he said. But yeah.
So when the Beatles did A Hard Day's Night, they weren't actors, but people loved that movie, so they signed a contract to make 4 more movies and do a total of 5 movies. They did Help, and they'd done Magical Mystery Tour. By this point, they were like, we're musicians, we're not actors. But they were still in that contract to do 5 movies, so they had to do 2 more. So they decided to take the easy way out, Day Tripper reference, and have the other people make the movie for them. And they pretty much had nothing to do with this movie. This is just the soundtrack to that movie. All of the new songs are either outtakes from other albums or one original song, which is a goofy children's song called All Together Now. So that's pretty much what this album is. It's not really the Beatles really didn't really have an artistic expression with this album. It's the soundtrack to this cartoon movie. It's good for what it is, but this is my least favorite Beatles album, just in the fact that it's not that good. I will say there are 2 of the songs that were new on this album are absolutely amazing. I like the 2 repeat songs, but everything else is, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. First off, I gotta say I really like the Yellow Submarine movie. Very creative film. Very trippy animation. I think it suits the aesthetic of the Beatles, especially during the later period. And I do like the soundtrack on the album. In fact, there is a compilation album that came out years later called Yellow Submarine Songtrack, which has every single song in the movie, which most is stuff from like Sgt. Pepper and Revolver. And it's a really cool soundtrack. In fact, I actually like the songtrack version over the official Yellow Submarine soundtrack. Now, that's not to say this is a bad album. I like the original songs on here. The repeat songs are classic for a reason. I'm kind of mixed on them putting the George Martin stuff on the album. It does kind of feel out of place. Like if I want to hear a movie score, I'd rather it be on its own album than mixed with the Beatles, because when you're expecting the Beatles, you're expecting John, Paul, George, or Ringo. Yeah, George Martin produced all their stuff, and he's technically the 5th Beatle, but to be honest, when you ask somebody who the Beatles are, is George Martin usually in conversation? Heck no. Not nothing against George Martin, but these songs kind of feel out of place.
Plus, I feel if George Martin had done like original orchestral music for a Beatles album, it would have been something like, I heard that whenever they were doing Abbey Road, George Martin was really happy with that because he had envisioned this album where the Beatles did something kind of like a symphony that had movements and stuff that kind of was like classical music, and he thought that the Abbey Road B-side was the closest they got to actually doing that. If they'd have made another album, which they never did, I feel like they would have done something like that, and George Martin may have done like instrumental interludes that would have tied the songs together. Something almost kind of like what ELO would do in the next decade, which is why John Lennon called them the Sons of the Beatles. But maybe that's just my 2 cents.
Also, this is going to make me sound really dumb, but wasn't George Martin their manager, or am I?
Their manager. Oh wait, no.
Oh no, Brian
Epstein was the manager. Martin was the producer.
That makes a lot more sense. I don't know why I was thinking George Martin with their manager is Brian Epstein.
He was their producer, George Martin.
Yeah. We got Caleb in the live chat.
If you build it, he will come.
Another great song.
It's a pretty good movie. All right, well, let's start talking about the songs. Let me get there. The first song is the title track, Yellow Submarine.
This song is so much fun. It doesn't matter what album it appears on. I will always show up for Yellow Submarine. Just it's so much fun. Like, especially it gets to the part where it's the little in between the verses of where it's like the final verse of, and I'm blanking on the lyrics now, but where they're imitating like the mechanics of the submarine. I love that part so much. So yeah, this is top 5 for me, not even close. It's one of the Beatles' more creative songs. I love it.
Well, I was a little dismissive on this song on the Revolver review, but I'm different on this review. I think the song's amazing on this album because this is the theme song to the album. This is not on their most creative album they've made, which was Revolver, so it feels more in place for this album than Revolver. I'm going to be honest. Like, if I'm going to listen to Yellow Submarine in context of an album, it's going to be this one. Like, I'd rather Paperback Writer or Rain be on Revolver and Yellow Submarine appear on this album. You know, that's just me though. That's just my 2 cents. But this is I love this song on this album. It's such a fun song. Didn't make my top 5, but it's definitely one of their most iconic songs. And I love the part where the call effect with the bum ba 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 sky blue, sea of green.
I love that part too.
That's the best part.
Submarine, ha ha.
And then just everyone comes together. We're all living in a Yellow Submarine. Yeah, it's weird. You're getting a better review from me on this album, but I just think it works better on this album. I love this song on this album.
Yeah, of course, I give my thoughts when we did the Revolver album on this, so I don't know what else more to say. Except I like the song. It's one of my favorite Ringo songs. It's a fun kind of. I put it in the kids sing along style, like we're gonna get on this album. But yeah, it's a really good song.
If I had ever been here before, I would probably know just what to do. Wouldn't you? I'm getting a case of deja vu. I feel like I've reviewed this song before. So if you want to hear my deep thoughts on this song, check out our Revolver review. Instead, I'm going to talk more about, I feel like it's a cool thing that the Beatles, the biggest band of all time, didn't always take themselves super seriously. They can still make fun songs like this, or Octopus's Garden, or even Maxwell's Silver Hammer, that aren't necessarily big artistic statements. They're more just kind of fun little songs, yet at the same time are still very experimental. It's weird. It's like you can tell they're just having fun, but at the same time they're also pushing boundaries with experimentation. Like, you got all these cool sound effects on this song, cash registers and people talking, submarine sound effects, warbly voices of the captain talking in the background. I think this is a really great song. I will say I actually do like it on Revolver. I feel like it does fit the experimental nature of Revolver, just having kind of everything in the kitchen sink on that album, including a little sing-along song. Is this my favorite song on the album? It's actually not. But since the album is titled Yellow Submarine, and it's the soundtrack to the movie Yellow Submarine, I would be pretty pissed off if they didn't put this song on the album, so it gets the pass for that.
Yeah. All right, so this is a song we've covered before on the Revolver album. It made my top 5 when we covered the Revolver album. And much like on Revolver, This song makes my top 5 on this album. It's a great song regardless of what album it's on. It actually does fit either album. I'd say more so on this because it's the soundtrack to Yellow Submarine, the movie. And this is the song that opens the movie and the opening credits. So you got to have at least Yellow Submarine in your soundtrack album. It's a catchy earworm. One of Ringo's best Beatles songs. Like I said, when we first covered it on Revolver, it's a song I used to hate originally. I thought it was so obnoxiously stupid. But the more I've listened to it, the more I'm like, you know what, this song's an earworm. It's awesome. But yeah, this is a great, great Beatles song. One of Ringo's best, and this one made my top 5. Now we go to one of the 4 original songs on the album, Only a Northern Song.
This was in my top 5 as well. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. This was one that I just had fun with as well. I wish they would have done more original stuff that was like just them, but we'll get to that. But this is a top 5. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go too in depth on it. I know either Jason or Scott will go in depth on it, but this is actually. I know Scott likes I know Scott's the big Beatle guy, so I'm going to give him more commentary on this. But this was originally supposed to be. Well, it wasn't supposed to be, but it was George's song that he presented for the Sgt. Pepper album, and they denied it, which would
They did.
maybe put Within You Without You on it.
No Northern song denied.
That's
I understood that reference.
denied.
It's not something you can bang your head to in the car.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I love this song. This barely missed my top 5. I'm glad it's on Ryan's top 5 because I think this is one of George Harrison's most underrated songs. I think both of Harrison's songs on this album are extremely underrated. My hot take coming up. My hot take is that I can name 5 songs on Sgt. Pepper's that should have been taken off in place of this song. I can name 5. Maybe even 6, actually. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to start anything, but I'll just leave it at that. I think this is one of their best songs. I think it's super underrated. It's so cool. I know Jason's going to be like, oh, it's better off. This was left off the Sgt. Pepper's album. If I'm correct, I remember it being one of his least favorite Beatles songs, but hopefully I'm wrong. I love this song. This is one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most obscure songs in the discography of the Beatles. Like, nobody knows this song. This is not a song anybody ever talks about, or I've hardly ever heard the song. Like, only a number of times I've actually ever listened to the song. It's not a song I ever listen to when I'm listening to Beatles music. Yeah, and I'll let Scott talk more about what the song's about, I think.
Yeah, I know what it's about.
Okay, I'll let you cover that part of it. It's good. It's an interesting why he wrote it. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's just a mediocre George song. It's not that catchy. It's not that memorable. It's not terrible by any means. I think it's the weakest song probably on this first side, to be honest. And I think it's better than Within You Without You, so I'll give you that. Like I would have said, yeah, put on Northern Song and just get rid of Within You Without You. But that's just me. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that.
So this was a Sgt. Pepper's outtake. George Harrison originally wanted this to be the song on Sgt. Pepper, and John and Paul told him it wasn't good enough, and so he wrote Within You Without You. This song was written despite the record label. Their publishing company was called Northern Songs Limited, and so George Harrison, fed up that John and Paul got to put all their songs on the albums, and he only got 1 or 2 songs per album, wrote this song purposefully bad despite the record label. Even look at the lyrics. He said, if you're listening to this song and you're wondering if the chords are wrong, no, they're not. I just wrote it like that. And then there's all this nonsense noise, music box, and these horns going. This song annoys the crap out of me. I'm sorry, I don't like this song. I'm with John and Paul on this one. Within You, Without You, all the way. This song, I don't even think the song should have been put on this album here. Like, could we have had Eleanor Rigby or Lucy and the Sky with Diamonds? Those were two really big songs in the album.
Yeah, it's not
in the movie.
They were big in the movie.
Yeah, those two songs were really big in the movie. We couldn't have had either of them.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to have another George song, maybe do Love You Too, since that song is heavily featured whenever George is, like, on the mountain with, like, he's like, whenever they go into the George's room in the movie, he's like up on the mountain playing sitar, and they got all the psychedelic colors behind him. Maybe we should have done Love You Too instead, but you've never liked this song. It's always annoying, and just knowing that George purposefully wrote an annoying song despite the record label. It's like, when Rush does it, they did 2112, and that was epic. When the Beatles do it, or more particularly George Harrison,
I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but 2112 was supposed to spite someone. I didn't know this.
Well,
it's the whole 21. This is a tangent. I'm going to make this extremely brief because we're going to do a whole Rush series. You are more than welcome to join our Rush series.
Please.
They told Rush to write more radio-friendly 3-minute songs like Bad Company, and instead they said, screw it, we're going to make a 20-minute side-length song that takes up the whole first side of the album that's about how people like to ban creative music and creativity.
I mean, it's like that's their best album, so like
it's a bold move.
Moving Pictures.
The bold strategy, Cotton, and it paid off.
Okay, sounds like we need to put you on our Rush series.
I'm actually with, believe it or not, I'm actually with Scott now. Moving Pictures.
2112 might be one of my favorite albums. Period. Like, there's some genuinely amazing ones other than the first side.
Oh yeah, Twilight Zone, Tears, Something for Nothing,
so and
Passage
Tears.
to Bangkok.
Tears.
Okay, this is my official invitation to extend to you to join our Rush series.
I'd be honored, and I go out of my way to listen to Tears. Like, it's sad. It's such a sad song, but it's a beautiful song. But I've gotten way off topic.
Now for something completely different. Back to the Beatles.
Now for something completely different.
I'm going to see how many Monty Python references I can make.
All right, so Only an Ordinary Song. I actually very well familiar with this song because it's in the movie. I've always liked the song. I didn't know the backstory behind it. I think it makes the song funnier that it's a troll song. I'm not super annoyed with this song. I mean, the trumpet part, I guess, can be grating at times, but since it's intentional, I don't mind it. It's kind of funny that I didn't realize Paul McCartney did that until I was looking it up. So it's like John and Paul rejected the song, but they're in on the joke at the same time. So maybe they changed their mind on the song when doing the movie. I don't know. It's my least favorite on side one. I'm not gonna lie. It's just barely made my top 5, but I like this song for what it is. Then we follow that up with All Together Now.
I had actually heard this song on a commercial like years before I knew this was Beatles, and I can't remember. I think it may have been Target. I'd have to look it up later. But I had heard this song on a commercial, and I'm like, this is really catchy. And it just nostalgia hit me in the face as I was listening to this in the car earlier. I'm like, oh, this is the song. And so, yeah, I really, really like this one. This is another one in my top 5. It was too short. I wanted it to go longer. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, so I'm happy I have a companion because I love this song. I love this song. And I'm doubling down. This is the best song on the album. This is my favorite song on the album. I love it. I really love this song. And, I've heard this so much as a kid. It's a bias, so don't be too shocked. Because my dad one time, he was like, what album do you want to listen to? And I'm like, what albums do you have Yellow Submarine? He's like, you don't want to listen to Yellow Submarine because he knows that there's the instrumentals and all that. But I want to listen to Yellow Submarine. He's like, fine, you can listen to Yellow Submarine, but don't beg me to turn it off. And of course, I listened to the first side and the instrumentals happen. And I'm like, turn this off. And my dad's like, I told you, I warned you. But yeah, it's all together now. It's such a fun song. I love the sail the ship, bum bum bum, jump the tree, bum bum bum. Here we go,
Yeah.
all together now,
All together now.
Oh, I love this song. This song it sounds like something ABBA would do. It just brings me happiness. It's one of those songs that just gets me happy in a good mood. Best song on the album. I'm doubling down. Anyone who disagrees with me, fair enough, but you can't change my mind. I think this is the best song on the album.
It turns Nick into a dancing queen.
Yeah, this is another song that I just never listen to or go to, and I never listen to this album. So it's one of those I know it because I remember they sing at the very end of the movie, and I remember seeing the movie when I was a kid and thought, oh yeah, that's fun sing along song. Yeah, it's like to me, it's like I put in the category with Yellow Submarine, the continuing story of Bungle Bill. It's kind of these fun, sing along. I call them kids sing along songs. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but they're just fun. Doesn't really mean much. There's not much to the lyrics. Yeah, it's just a fun song.
When I said I like whenever the Beatles don't really take themselves too seriously, they're not taking themselves seriously enough on this song. It's almost like, I can hear them in the studio right now. Hey, John. Hey, what, Paul? We need to write an album. We need to write a song here for this new cartoon called Yellow Submarine. I don't want to. I just want to do heroin and make a bunch of experimental songs with Yoko. Oh, come on, John. It'll be fun. Okay, fine. What is this cartoon? Is it some kind of drug trip? Yeah, but it's also for kids. Okay, well then we'll make a song with numbers and colors and letters. But you gotta let me sneak in the slightly dirty line about can I take my friend to bed? Because they have that in there. It is black, white, blue, red. Can I take my friend to bed? And I'm like, that was probably John trying to sneak that in there. I hate this song. I'm sorry. Because songs like Yellow Submarine and Octopus's Garden, people say those are kids' songs, but I feel those are more just kind of fun songs that kids can enjoy too. This song is almost kind of slightly insulting my intelligence. Like, I don't want to hear like, dope, chop the tree. Stay on the ship, chop the tree, dope, pull the rope, look at me. I mean, like Nick was saying earlier, he thinks ABBA would do good. If ABBA did this song and maybe changed a few of the lyrics, it would have been amazing. But the fact that this is the Beatles doing this and it sounds like they're not even in on this, like they're just recording this just so that they have a theme song for their kids' cartoon that's secretly a drug movie. I don't really like this song. Sorry.
I don't get the intelligence thing. I just enjoy the song as is. And
you know what? More power to you. You do that. I don't know. I just for some reason I just never liked this song.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Well, when I first watched Yellow Submarine, the song that was stuck in my head after finishing the movie was not Yellow Submarine. It was All Together Now. Earworms can either be a good or bad thing. It could either make the song if you really like the catchiness of it, or if you hated the song the first time and it gets stuck in your head, it annoys the crap out of me. With All Together Now, I'm with Nick. This song's awesome. This is a very catchy song. I love the simplicity of it. I love the sing-along nature of it. The simplistic lyrics are charming. I like the Beatles and the guitar. Very catchy song. This might be a hot take, but I actually like this song over Yellow Submarine, to be honest.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not my favorite song on this album, like Nick, but
I figured
it's I will say it's in my top 3. All right, our next song on the album Hey, Bulldog.
I was trying to rack my brain to see if I had listened to this before, and if I had, it'd been too long. But I love this one. It was like this was just another fun one, and they have this really big thing about bulldogs that just endeared me to it. Like I can't put my finger on it. I just got a kick out of it.
Yeah. For the longest time, this was my favorite song on the album. It was actually, I listened to this album before our review. It was actually going to be my favorite song on the review, but then I listened to it all together now, and that went to number one. This song is epic, though. This is one of their most underrated songs. I mean, I could say that for all four of these new songs, if I'm being honest. Especially this one. It comes in with like a roaring piano. Sheep dog. Rain. It's not rapping, but it feels like John Lennon is doing a rap before rap even existed. With the "You can't talk to me, you can't talk to me," like it feels like he's like the 80s, 90s fun rap where it's like not gangsters and all that, but like the early stages of rap where it's just kind of like
hip hop rap,
kind of like that. That's what this is. It's like pre that.
like Run DMC.
Kind of. It's like pre that. It's not that, but it's like it's close to it, and I love that. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and I love the part where it gets all nonsensey and it's like shut up. Like, what is this? I love it though. This is my second favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it's funny. For a long time, I've never heard this song because, like I said, I never listened to this album. So "Hey Bulldog" was one of those songs that I just was not familiar with for a long time. I was a big Beatles fan for a long period of my life. And funny enough, I remember it might have been like the Grammys or something like that, and they're doing some tribute to the Beatles, or I don't know. I was watching something, and I think his name is Keith Urban, Australian country singer.
That sounds right.
And he's a really good guitar player. I don't know much about his music, but he can really play the guitar.
Yeah, he's really good at guitar playing.
Yeah, I've never really heard his music, so I don't know how he's considered in the country business. But he married Nicole Kidman. I know that. I think he was a judge on or something. But anyways,
yeah, he was at one point.
Yeah, and he said that "Hey Bulldog" was his favorite Beatles song, which I was like, your favorite Beatles song? That's an odd voice. But then he did a version where he put in a bunch of guitar solos in there, and I was like, this is a pretty cool song. I was like, I love these guitar solos that Keith Urban was putting in there. So I've been able to appreciate the song more recently, I would say, than I have most of my life. Most of life, I just didn't care about the song or whatever. But now I hear a lot of people talk about the song as like one of their favorites. So I'm like, wow, this song is definitely like bigger than what I consider it to be. But it has that riff, that bump, 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 bump. I mean, great riff. That's probably the best part of the song, is just that riff that kind of gets in your head. And then John goes, he does that, you don't talk to me, or something like that. If you wanna, you can talk to me. Like, that part's great. I would say it's a good song. It's like it's still not a song that I absolutely love like a lot of people, but it's still, I can go, yeah, it's a good song.
I was introduced to this song through the Beatles Rock Band game.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember playing this song for the first time and hearing and thinking that was the coolest riff I'd ever heard, because that got stuck in my head for days. And I remember, because my family had the microphone, so whoever got to sing at the end basically just shouted whatever they wanted at the end. They weren't going along with what they were saying, because the song was so unhinged. They would just say whatever they want at the end. And I remember my little brother, my youngest brother, every time he did "I Am the Walrus," he wouldn't even sing the right thing. He would just go, "Walrus, walrus." Side note. So now every time I hear "I Am the Walrus," I just hear Walrus, walrus. But Hey Bulldog. Back to Hey Bulldog. Because I heard the Beatles Rock Band game and I loved the riff on there. I would want to hear this on the radio, and I would listen to the radio, and I'd hear other Beatles songs. Mainly "Come Together" was the one I heard the most on the radio, and I'd be like, "Oh, first I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's the Beatles on the radio," but I would be like, "Oh man, I really want to play Hey Bulldog," and that's before I had a notion of what singles were, and that singles are what you play on the radio. And if it wasn't released as a single, it's probably not going to get played on the radio. So I desperately was waiting for Hey Bulldog and was very disappointed that I never got it. I remember going to Walmart in probably 2013, 2014, something like that. And my mom said that we could buy one CD, and looking through all the Beatles CDs, and we almost bought Yellow Submarine because it had Hey Bulldog on it, and I wanted to hear that song real bad. We ended up going with the Red Album instead, which, looking back, was probably a better choice. I would have been very disappointed with Yellow Submarine. But I've always loved the piano at the beginning, and the guitar. George Harrison has a really good guitar solo on this song. McCartney's bass on here is incredible. If you're a bass player, check out the bass line to Hey Bulldog. It is insane. And I love how unhinged the song gets at the end. I heard the song was actually, the original title was Hey Bullfrog,
yeah,
but they switched it to Hey Bulldog because at the end, Paul McCartney went, ruff, and John Lennon went, hey, that's good. Do you know any more? And he went, arr! And so instead of singing Hey Bullfrog, he switched it to Hey Bulldog, because Paul McCartney had done that dog impression, and he thought that was funny. So the end is basically John and Paul just goofing around and making dog noises, and some of them are just like, all right, cool, man. Quiet, okay, quiet.
He had that dog in him.
Yeah, Paul McCartney got that dog in him. But yeah, it's a very fun song. I've always loved this song. Loved it so much. I actually did a live cover of it at my school's open mic night when I was in college. You can find that not on Jacob's channel. I keep forgetting whose channel. Not on SoundLab Studios, but on my old YouTube channel, you can find a cover of me doing. I didn't sing. I'm just playing the guitar on it, but it's called Hey Bulldog cover by Definitely Not a Beatles cover band.
Okay.
It's still out there. I got that. I got When My Guitar Gently Weeps, and I have Johnny Be Good. So those three songs are still out there. You just may have to do a bit of looking because it's not very easy to get to them. It's my shameless plug. But I'm shameless when it comes to loving you. I'll do anything you want me to. Wait, no, that's Garth Brooks. But many people do Garth Brooks. Or Billy. You know, if you ever did Garth Brooks, I wouldn't be opposed to joining that series.
I technically went through his early albums already.
Yeah, if he was on Spotify, I would love to go through it.
Yeah, that's the sucky part. It's hard finding his music. Hey Bulldog. This song is awesome. I love the piano riff. It's one of those songs that's like you can't really dissect this song lyrically, because it doesn't really make much sense, but it's just a very fun rockin' Beatles song. I love John Lennon's vocals on here. You can talk to me if you know that you can talk to me. I think a lot of it, to me, this is more like a jam session type song, and I think that's why people love it so much. And it excels at that. And then, like you guys mentioned, I love it when they goof off at the end, John and Paul. I don't think this song would have worked as well if it was Hey Bullfrog, because can you really do frog noises when you're trying to sing? I don't think it would be near as effective as the dog stuff. So I'm glad they changed it. So yeah, another one of the best songs on the album. Definitely a top 3 for sure. All right, next up is It's All Too Much.
The sound at the start of this song sounds like someone kicked the guitar. It just shook me awake. I'm like, what was that noise?
That was Lennon trying to do a Hendrix impression.
Well, he whiffed it. But there's only one Hendrix. But
and it's Jimi Hendrix.
Indeed. I didn't care for this song all that much. It's not bad by any means. This is my weakest one on this side. It's like, I feel like it was just more noise than anything else, and there's plenty of that on the album. But again, we're getting there. We are getting there.
Them's fighting words. I'm joking. You're good. I'm messing around.
That's always the best part of these Beatle videos is
What
are those two going to say about this?
It reminds me, I still need to go back and rewatch the Beatles for Sale one where Nick just like trash can for every song.
It's like trash can, 8 days a week. That's a good
every song.
Trash
Says 8 days a week.
That's a masterpiece.
I need to watch that.
You do. That was a fun video.
Me and Ryan probably would have went so much back and forth if he was with us at that time.
Like, why do I get the feeling that Ryan would actually like Mr. Moonlight?
Mr. Moonlight.
That song exists. I'll give him that. It's a song on an album. I'll say this: it's like me and Ryan could argue about a Beatle album, and then like when we're on Genesis, we get like we're so civil with each other on the Genesis reviews.
Well, it's just because Breyer's there. You see, no one wants to fight in front of him.
yes.
Except Breyer will go on a rant if he hates something.
Oh
Not very
yeah.
often, but when he does, oh boy.
Oh yeah, I've seen his rant on Mr. Wonderful.
Especially with Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac and Breyer, like,
yes,
it's a rocky relationship.
Especially when it's with Lindsey Buckingham.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's all I gotta say though, Ryan. Be careful when Breyer's on a rant, because when he's on a rant, there's no stopping it.
Nope.
Don't Breyer on a rant. Don't stop me now.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Okay. All too much. This is a great song. This made my top 5. Yes, I agree with Ryan. The to your I'm like, this is stupid, and I never liked that part. It would be my favorite song on the album if it wasn't for that. To me, it's like, just get into the freaking song already. This to me, that's just filler on the song. The rest of it, though, I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's super underrated. Like, if like any other band released that, it would be like probably their best song. But since it's the Beatles, it's like obscure and no one knows about it. That's something I gotta say. The power of the Beatles is that they have so many iconic songs that even the lesser known songs could be iconic for other lesser known bands. Like if Zeppelin did this song, forget about it. It'd be like a huge hit for them. But if it's since it's the Beatles, it's like, oh, it's just another Beatles song, because they have so many classics. That's what I mean. You know what I'm talking about, guys?
Yeah.
They just have so many classics. It's like if Zeppelin releases, it'd be like, oh my god, this is like a masterpiece. But since it's the Beatles, it's like, yeah, they have like 100 other like masterpieces. This is one of their okay masterpieces. You know what I mean? So I love this song personally. I don't know what everyone else is gonna say, but I feel like I'm gonna be in the minority again.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when Ryan said that. This is one of the best songs on the album.
Yes. I thought he was gonna hate it. Let's go.
No, I think this is the best song of the 4 originals. I really like the song. And again, this is one of those songs I kind of forget about because it's on the Submarine album. And then when I hear it, I'm like, oh, this song's so good. Like, it's kind of like Baby You're a Rich Man. That's another one where I forget about it until I hear it. And I go, oh, man, this song's so good. I forget about it. And there's other songs like that. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was a super catchy song. I think it's one of George's best. I love it's all too much. It's too much. I don't know. I really like the chorus. Yeah, it's one of my favorite.
I really like this song. Yes, I can kind of see where that phony Hendrix thing at the beginning is a little weird. Like maybe if there was an edit that started at the boom part, that might have been better. But I know the Beatles were really big fans of Jimi Hendrix and vice versa. Honestly, Jimi Hendrix played Sgt. Pepper's Live, a cover of it, just a few days after the album had come out. But man, the guitar work on here is really good. George Harrison's doing a lot of psychedelic stuff. It's got a really cool sound to it. And there's even a nod to, I forget the artist who does this song, but the song is called Sorrow. When he said, with your light blonde hair and your eyes of blue, like those are lines from a song called Sorrow. I forget who the original artist was, but I know David Bowie does a really good cover of it.
I know. It has something to do with the Mersey beats, because it's like the Mersey beats, but like they were called the Merseys, and it's like
Merseys.
I believe so. It's hard to describe the group, but I know you're talking about, though. I actually really like that song, even though it's ripping. Even though George somewhat ripped it off.
Well, I thought it was ripping it off, but then when I was listening to the song today, I heard he kind of just sings those songs, those particular lines at the end of the song, and like, oh, that's more just like an homage to that song.
Okay.
Because I used to think that was like a whole verse of the song, but I was listening to it today. I'm like, oh, it's like the tag at the end of the song. It's kind of just like a little callback. Cool. I will say it's interesting if you watch the movie. There's a verse that was cut from the song that's not in the album, but is in the movie. So there's a lost verse. If you look on YouTube, you can find the extended version of the song that it restores the lost verse that's in the movie. If you ever want to check that out, the longer version of the song. But it's a cool song. I like the "It's All Too Much." I think that this is actually a really good George song. Unlike his other song on this album, Only a Northern Song, which I don't like, I actually really do like this song. It's weird, though, because this song and Hey Bulldog were kind of written after the White Album, but before they started the Let It Be sessions. So I don't really know if they were on another album, which one they would be on. But I'll just enjoy them on Yellow Submarine for now.
All right. Yeah, this is another good Beatles song. Of the two George ones, I do like this one a little more than Only a Northern Song. I was surprised some of you guys didn't like that little guitar tone at the beginning of the song. I personally think it's great. The little callback to Jimi Hendrix. I think it kind of sets the tone for the psychedelic style of this song. I love the keyboard riff that's on this. Dun, 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 dun. Another really catchy song. I don't think it's as big of an earworm as some of the others, like All Together Now or Hey Bulldog, but still a good song in its own right. And this one was good enough that it made the top 5. All right, we close off side 1 with a song we've already talked about, Deja Vu again. All You Need Is Love.
Yeah, easy top 5 for me. This is a Beatles song I go out of my way to listen to just because, I mean, I have no notes. It's some of their finest work, and make no mistake.
I have nothing to say. I like that it's on here since it wasn't on a UK album. It's on a UK album now.
Yeah.
Ryan assumed I was going to hate the song. He was wrong the first time, and I'm glad to remind him he was wrong again. I love the song. That's about it, though. Nothing really much to add, really. This is a masterpiece.
I like that. Let me take this time to remember when Ryan was wrong.
Remember when I was wrong? Okay.
We can just take that clip out of context. Remember when I was wrong? I need to get like a clip of him saying, "Yeah, me neither." Now, and then edit them together.
Maybe we should do a 2025 recap video, like of all of our best moments of the year.
Oh, I did one last year that was it was like a recap of a lot of years since it's like 2 years, but you know what? Challenge accepted. I'm gonna make one for 2025.
I knew you would do it, Scott.
We've already had some legendary moments on these videos already.
Yes.
Yeah, All You Need Is Love is a great song. Yeah, we talked about it. It's a closer to Magical Mystery Tour. It's an iconic song. I think the orchestra music and the horns, I think that's what makes it so great for me. I love that section of it. And it's catchy, and the ending is so good. Yeah, there's not much more to say than that.
I feel like I went into extreme depths about why I like this song on our Magical Mystery Tour review. From what I can remember, like, I talked a lot about this song. So again, I'm going to bump that review if you want to hear my full thoughts on the song, because I don't think I can recreate all of that. I'm not even going to try to. I'm just going to say this song is awesome. I'm not gonna put it as my favorite song on this album, though, even though probably this is my favorite song on the album technically. I'm gonna put one of the original songs, or two of the original songs, over this at least, just because they're new and this is a repeat track, kind of like with Lady Jane on Flowers, or Let's Spend the Night Together, or Ruby Tuesday, how I put those ones kind of lower since they were repeat songs. I'm going to prioritize the original ones. But I love this song. I love how it was broadcasted as one of the first, I think it was the first worldwide broadcast featured a segment with this song with the Beatles on there. And I love the orchestra thing at the end where it just gets all wild and unruly and they start singing She Loves You.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's more is there to add? This song is a classic for a reason. I thought it was one of the best songs on Magical Mystery Tour, and I still stand by that on this album. I will say it's kind of funny that we just had this song on Magical Mystery Tour, and the song's used in the movie. And there's this one part where it's like, "All you need is love, all together now." Like,
Oh,
they were
now.
they were thinking ahead there, I guess. Beatleception.
Boom.
All together now. What are you doing? I
Leonardo,
guess you just don't understand it right now. But
Leonardo DiCaprio winning John Lennon's dreams. It's like, hey, I got an idea. You got to write this song here, and when you write this song, you're gonna say "all together now," and then after you release the song, just think of "all together now" for an animated cartoon.
It will make sense later on.
What is the most resilient parasite, Mr. Lennon?
But yeah, this is a great song. One of my favorite Beatles songs. All right, now side one's done. That's technically all the Beatles songs.
I'm going to take a brief little intermission here and grab something to drink real quick before we get onto these instrumental ones.
That's probably a good idea.
Gonna need it.
That's probably a good idea.
Well, I could tell already this is going to be a very short segment over the video, is all 7 of these tracks.
It's really hard.
I don't really have, to be honest, I don't have much to say on these.
To be honest. Like, what do you say? It's like
if we were talking about John Williams, I would probably have more to say because John Williams has so many great stuff in the movies he scored.
Like there's this YouTuber I follow called The Report of the Week. He reviews food, and several years ago, a clip of him reviewing these green Dunkin' Donuts like went viral because someone chopped it up to where it's like, see close up of green donut, like as you can see the St. Patrick's Day donut, and just the several variations of him saying, look at the green donut. I feel like that's me like writing notes for this song is pretty. This song is beautiful. Song is beautiful once again. And I feel like I'm trying to come up with more eloquent synonyms for pretty or beautiful, and I'm just like running out.
I think I'm going to join Sky. I'm going to give me some water real fast.
All right, it's the 3 of us now running into
3 of us.
Also, While I have you here, I found something when I was looking up this movie, Yellow Submarine. There's a character in here, Jeremy Hillary Boob.
Yeah.
Yes.
I beg your pardon. Like,
oh, get this. Not only is he called Jeremy Hillary Boob, but in that movie, he's the Nowhere Man. They sing that song when they introduce the character.
you mean that he's a real nowhere man? That's
Yeah.
the nowhere man's name is Jeremy Hillary Boob. That's like learning Ash Williams from The Evil Dead. His full name is Ash Lee. I'm like, what? Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with dudes being named Ashley. I mean, like,
It happens. Yeah.
like it just takes the sting out of it a little bit. Like, that's his full government name, and like, yeah.
When I think of dudes being named Ashley, I think of that guy in Gone with the Wind that Scarlett's fawning over. Oh, Ashley, come on, I want my Ashley.
That movie is. I remember I covered that for the AFI project on my channel in 2020. And I was just like, I'd rather have COVID than watch this again. Like 4 hours. 4 entire human hours.
Oh, it's the longest movie I've ever seen in my life.
My grandfather saw. He wasn't born in 1939 when that movie came out. He must have saw a re-release of it when he was a kid, and he did not know how long that movie was until he was in the theater. And to this day, he's still like, it's like the most torturous thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't even sit still when watching TV because I put up with that.
Like, the movie looks nice, and there are admittedly some very quotable lines, like when Clark Gable goes, "The South has only contributed 3 things: cotton, slaves, and arrogance." Like, that line's good. And then there's like, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." Like, that's a classic. And then the girl, like Scarlett, when she holds up the carrot,
My witness, I will never go hungry again.
then that goes to intermission, and then soon afterwards, she's lusting after Ashley again, rendering that line entirely meaningless.
Off topic. Jason and Ryan, have you heard that the Jets have acquired a new head coach?
Yes,
It's Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron's not Aaron.
He was their head coach. Let's be honest.
Doing the player coach gimmick.
Yeah, he better.
There we go. Keep calm and let Scott handle it.
He better not join the Jets again next year.
He bet.
Aaron and the Jets.
All right. Well, now that everybody's back, let's now talk about the George Martin tracks. Starting off with "How About That."
This song kind of sounded like if you asked ChatGPT to come up with a whimsical song. And that's all.
No. That's insulting to George Martin.
Those are my
That's
notes.
insulting to George Martin.
That's what I got.
Oh my gosh.
Well, where do we go after that?
I don't know.
Where do we go now?
Alrighty then. Continue your review. Is that it?
That's it. That's what I got.
That's it.
Alrighty then.
Well, good night, everybody.
I have nothing. I'm speechless.
I've broken the stream. I'm sorry.
You broke me.
You broke everybody.
Jacob, that's for sure.
Okay. Taking my hat off now. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album. This made my top 5. I really like this track. It's such a beautiful arrangement. I can't really describe what's going on, but my review is going to be short, but I love all of these instrumentals. It's hard. It's just such a beautiful opener to the movie, to the second side of the record. I think it's a beautiful arrangement. I don't get GPT vibes at all with whatever thing he was referencing. I don't know. To me, this is definitely one of the most underrated. I think side 2 Yellow Submarine is one of the most criminally underrated sides of all time. Probably the most underrated side of all time. I love it.
Yeah, out of these 7 instrumentals that we get, and they're not very long, if I remember right. They're all 2.5 minutes, maybe.
Relatively short.
Right. 2.5, 3 minutes, give or take.
Yeah.
Mercifully short.
Pepperland is by far the best song on the side 2. I thought it was a really good instrumental. Like, I was kind of impressed. I was like, wow. I expected to hate everything on the second side. And first song, I'm like, oh, that's actually really good. Like, I actually kind of like this orchestra music. I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be better after this. But no, this is definitely the best one.
So this is at the beginning of the movie where it shows Pepperland and all of the happy little inhabitants
Okay.
playing around and doing stuff. And you have Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which that's one thing that I always hated about the movie is that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band isn't the Beatles in this movie. In the movie, I'm going to have to preface within the movie, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is like some kind of band that plays in Pepperland, and they're all like weird, colorful looking people, and that the Beatles have to go in disguise as them in the movie to blend in. And it's like, yeah, no. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the 8th studio album by the Beatles, released in 1967 on Parlophone EMI Records. Oh, wait, I'm starting to sound like Wikipedia. Anyway, there's that Chat GPT for you. Chat GPT, tell me about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the 8th studio release by the Beatles. The 8th UK studio release by the Beatles, released on June of 1967 on EMI Parlophone Records. I'm rambling on too much now. But,
oh, damn it, I was going to do that.
I'm just going to keep on singing my song.
Keep on choogling.
Yeah. But this is one of the better instrumentals on here. It's a fun way to open the movie. But like I said, this isn't what I want to hear from a Beatles album. If I want to hear a film score, I'm going to listen to that album right there, Mr. John Williams. And I don't know, maybe if I'm in the mood, I'll play this every once in a while if I'm actually in the mood for a film score, because I actually quite liked some of the bits re-listening to it. Some of it kind of reminded me of a song from an Alan Parsons Project album, the Edgar Allan Poe one. So that's interesting. But that's what I got to say about Pepperland.
All right. So as much as I still contend that these instrumentals should have been on their own album, there's 3 of the 7 songs on the second side that I actually do really like. And I'm not going to lie, I put them on my Beatles playlist. This is one of the 3. This one, I like the orchestration. I don't really have much to add. I think it suits what George Martin was trying to go for with the scene. I thought it was a lovely tune. And like I said, one of the better tracks on this album. Now we have the Sea of Trilogy. Starting off with Sea of Time.
We're actually reviewing these all separately. Okay.
This sounds like, and I'll keep this brief again, but this song, like at the end of it, sounds like this belongs in, like when you re-release a silent film, specifically one of Charlie Chaplin. This is the accompaniment right here. Like you could just like see Chaplin and the kid like running and breaking windows and then running away to this song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a lot of angry messages from...
Who was that?
What was that?
What was that?
It was
a statue. It says, I love you this much, and spreading. I'm gonna get a lot of angry messages from Nick later.
I was about to say, was that Rael the fox? Oh, the shirt.
I put it on. You have woken up the angry demon, baby.
Do it. I haven't seen this shirt yet. I got Nick this shirt for Christmas because he said he always wanted to have a shirt with that album cover because it was so bad.
Not Born Again. No.
Oh, no.
The demon baby.
You have woken up the demon, baby.
Okay. What
Okay.
have we gotten into?
Where do we go?
I'm making this
Where do
review
we
for-
go now?
I'm making the review more entertaining on purpose because
Yeah.
I'm making the negativity like more happier, you know. So, hot take alert! Another hot take. This is my third favorite track on the album.
You have time?
Yes,
Okay.
this is my third favorite track on the album. Yes, Via Time. Not Yellow Submarine. Not Only a Northern Song. Not It's All Too Much. Not All You Need Is Love. Via Time. And I have a reason for it. I love the beginning of it. I love it. It's like it goes through different things. So it starts off kind of like Within You Without You, or one of George Harrison's Indian tracks. I love that part. There's a part of it where it's like this is beautiful. I love it. This is amazing. All of this is beautiful. This is the best of the George Martin tracks. This is the best one on the album. I love it. I love it. I love it. I will die on this hill and say this is on par with some of the songs on Star Wars. On par. I would say better.
Oh,
my
Star
God.
Wars.
I
Well, I
really
wouldn't say
broke
better.
Nick
I would say
tonight.
If you're
I
gonna
don't
say
know
this
about
is as
that.
good as like the Force theme or Princess Leia's theme, I don't
The
know.
Imperial March, Duel of the Fates.
I love George Martin's stuff on this album.
Okay.
This is the peak of the peak on this album. I love it personally.
Yeah, I feel like I have to I don't know. I have to review these last 6 or whatever instrumentals are all the same to me. They're just really boring. I didn't care about any of them. I'm sorry, I don't. I just don't have any interest in any of these. That's my whole review for the rest of the album.
Preach, Dr. Boob.
Right here.
I need to make an out of context video. Music junkies, but out of context, and that's gonna be one of the best ones. Preach it, Dr. Boob. Nick, take that bag off your head because I'm about to defend this track.
Oh boy.
All right.
Get the jets out.
Okay. When I was listening to this, it started out with like a sitar, and I'm like, oh, this has kind of a George Harrison feel to it. And halfway through this song, it started doing this. I don't even know. It was like, and something inside of me just went, this would make for a lovely, like, love theme. This is something is very romantic about this. And then I realized, oh, this is just the accompaniment to a yellow submarine swimming through a bunch of clocks. And the Beatles are getting super old. And then it's like, oh, never mind. But there for just a second, I was like, wow, that's quite lovely, actually. So this is going to be my favorite of the George Martin scores. Yeah, like when it got to that kind of thing, it kind of reminded me of. I mentioned this earlier. It kind of reminded me of some of the stuff on the Alan Parsons Project Edgar Allan Poe album, because there's this whole track that's based off of the poem "The Fall of the House of Usher" that uses a lot of orchestral accompaniment, kind of like this. So it reminded me of that. But then once it got back to the normal, this kind of music stuff, I was like, oh, the moment was there. It was beautiful, and now it's gone. Next.
All right. So I'm gonna keep this very brief, and my thoughts on this is the same on this song, this song, and this song. To be honest, I don't remember any of these 3 tracks. They're kind of like copy, paste, rinse, repeat. That's it on that one. Nick or Scott, do you have any? I know Ryan, you're probably the same on these 2. Nick, do you have anything to add on Sea of Holes or Sea of Monsters?
We're not gonna do an actual. We're not gonna go around.
Yeah, I'm doing this album.
Jason,
Probably pointless. If you have any thoughts, say them now.
Okay. Since I'm gonna be defending this half, I'll put on the bag of shame.
You're the
any thoughts? I don't have anything to say on these C tracks.
why is the Yellow Submarine album review of all album reviews one of the most interesting ones? This is getting interesting.
One thing I'll note for Sea of Holes, considering the state of the xylophone in this song, it seems like someone let their cat loose in the studio, and that's the only reason to be like.
So, in the movie, The Sea of Holes is actually quite a terrifying premise. It's completely white.
Really, the xylophone really conveyed that.
Yeah, it's like this blank space that's completely white, other than there's 10,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire.
Yeah.
And if you fall into one of the holes, then you pop out of another one. And somebody told me this once and made me really terrified. It said, what if you fell into one of the holes, but the one you came out of was the one right on top of the one that you fell into? You would be falling through the hole infinitely, a la Loki and Doctor Strange.
I'm falling for
30 minutes!
I love this song. I love this track. It's psychedelic and it's trippy, and I love it. This is another banger of a track. I shouldn't say banger. I love this track. It's awesome.
I don't remember anything about this like the other Sea song. What about Sea of Monsters?
Again, not about the song, but when I was listening to it, I kind of remember it kind of elicited some of the memories of the movie. But there's this one monster that's got this big nose and like sucks up everything, and like eventually it like sucks up everything, including the scenery and itself, and it just leaves everything white and just a void. And I'm like, what happened? They probably just got taken to where all of the other pruned things go, like in Deadpool and Wolverine. But yeah, that was kind of a scary scene in the movie, because it's like when the thing sucks you up in its nose, where do you go? And the thing like sucked itself up in its nose, and it's like, where are the Beatles now? I guess they're all living in their yellow submarine.
Well, I remember Ringo was like, don't push this button. And then, of course, Ringo pushes the button. And he falls out of the submarine, I think. And then he's like, with it, there's a bunch of monsters around. That's what I remember. But.
Yeah, like some of this movie is just so stupid. It's like, don't push the button.
I will say, the one thing I remember about the Sea of Holes, there was a gag that comes up where Ringo grabs the hole and he's like, I got the hole in my pocket.
That was actually funny.
That's a funny one.
There's like a tiny hole. He picks it up and puts it in his pocket. He says, "I got a hole in my pocket."
So there's a part of Sea of Monsters where the Beatles go to actual Christian hell. I need to watch this movie.
Almost.
I love this track. That's my review.
We get it. We get it.
Yes, you get it, and I'm gonna ground it home. I love it.
All right.
All right. Well, yes, I will say I actually have something to say on March of the Meanies. So
I do as well. Of this side, this is my favorite because it breaks up the monotony of the sea of thieves, the sea of like
the sea of monsters.
Whatever.
Oh, wait, no, that's Percy Jackson. Oh wait, no, that
Sea of Monsters
actually is something on the album.
Yeah, that is a Percy Jackson book, The Sea of Monsters.
That's
not so good movie.
No, it wasn't good. Book was good though, but regardless.
Yeah. And I'm sure season 2 of the show based on Sea of Monsters is going to be good because I love the first season.
Well, of the ones on this side, this one is the favorite because out of just like whimsy and joy and yay, here is something a bit more menacing, like something I can like bite my teeth into finally. So of like the ones on this side, this one is my favorite. Finn.
I think this is a really great track on the album. Funny enough, this is towards the bottom of the album for me, but I think this has a very John Phillips feel to it. This sounds like something that you could hear from a Star Wars movie, not one of the classic Star Wars movies like the episode 4 through 6, but like in a cartoon Star Wars movie, like a non-serious one. Like I could hear like this being in a Star Wars cartoon movie or a cartoon show. So I like that. It like I'm telling you, if this was John Phillips, people would like it and love it. Like,
John Williams.
John Williams. John Williams or John John Williams, that's what I'm going to say. I was thinking of a different worker.
You think of John Philip Sousa, who did the Stars and Stripes merch.
Yes. And, thank you for correcting me, Scott. I like being corrected actually, so I don't look like an idiot. Off stream that I don't know.
Unless you're Green Day.
Don't wanna be American idiot. Great album, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much more to say. This is another amazing song on the album for me. I like everything on this album.
Okay, I know. Jason's got nothing.
Jason, I'm reading his mind right now. He's like, if Mahomes like this, I would like it.
Not Mahomes.
He says, I hate this. I have nothing to say about it. Still better than Tortured Poets Department.
And then Mahomes crashes the stream. He's like, I actually really like this track. and then Jason will be like, I like this one now.
This is Kermit the Angry Frog, and let me tell you why I'm angry.
You guys Yo Submarine?
We were talking about Yo Submarine. Yay!
The best album ever!
Hi, Mickey.
Ringo think about the green. Ringo sings about the sea of green. That automatically makes you my favorite song because it's not easy being green.
Wow, this stream just became unhinged.
Yes, it did.
We need to do something to make this more interesting.
We need Dr. Bunsen and Beaker to like get us back on track again.
But one more thing, I'm telling you, if Mahomes came on here, it's like, I really like this album, and Jason would be like, yes, Mahomes, this is the best album ever made.
Okay,
my mythical king.
This is the theme song of the Blue Meanies, and it's creepy just like them. If I was a kid and saw the Yellow Submarine movie, I would have probably been terrified because the Blue Meanies are creepy and weird and very unnerving. Like the lead one has like this chattering teeth, like, and it's like, yeah, you're going to get defeated. Then like it'll be like very quiet, and then all of a sudden starts screaming for no good reason. It's like, yeah, we're not going to. We're going to get the Beatles. I'm just going to crush them or whatever. And it's like, oh, and then that glove is like, it's like, this is very unnerving. Although, I do think Mark Hamill probably based his Joker a little bit off of the Blue Meanies because I can kind of see the, maybe, I don't know though, but the Blue Meanies are terrifying.
Yeah.
This is one of the 3 songs that I put on my playlist. I actually kind of like this track. I kind of like the intensity of it, much like the Blue Meanies, who are really creepy characters in the film. I don't know how it would have felt if I watched the film as a kid. I watched the film as a young adult, and I love the movie, so I probably would have peed my pants if I had seen it at like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do really like this track. As like I said, I do like the intensity of it. This is my second favorite of the George Martin tracks. Besides Nick, does anyone have thoughts on Pepperland Laid Waste? I'm just gonna say no for me. So.
I like this track. It's another really good song. Not one of my personal favorites on the album, but I really enjoyed it.
Anyone else?
No.
No.
We had the song.
I think I've hurt Nick's feelings enough tonight.
We had the song Pepperland. Now Pepperland is laid waste, and pretty soon we're going to have a yellow submarine in Pepperland. I'm sensing a theme here. Almost like there's a sea of holes, a sea of time, and a sea of monsters as well. Good things come in threes, apparently. 3 songs about Pepperland and 3 songs about seas.
Yep.
We should have called this album Sea of Pepperland.
Yeah, that's what they should have called the George Martin companion album.
Or Pepperland Sea.
Yeah.
Or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Sea.
All right. I actually do have something to say on this one.
So do I.
Okay. Ryan, you can go first.
I'll keep it brief, but somewhere Jeff Lynne from the Electric Light Orchestra listened to this song and took furious notes. I'm like, I can open Evil Woman with this. That is all.
Okay.
I really like this track. I like it's like bum 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 bum. It's like triumphant Yellow Submarine. Like it's like they took a really childish song and then it's like George Martin is like, George Martin, take that silly song from Revolver and make it triumphant. Bum 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 bum. It's like if I didn't know the song, I would have thought this must be like some epic song about some Yellow Submarine. But then you listen to the song, it's like, oh, it's just some kid song. But I love this version. It's really good.
All right.
There's a submarine. Now, mind you, the submarine is yellow. And, I bet you couldn't have guessed this, but the submarine that's yellow is in Pepperland. Yeah. You guess that?
I didn't know that. I thought the submarine was red, and I thought we were in Saltville.
Mind blown.
Salt Lake City. That being said, I do think it's cool that they have like a triumphant version of Yellow Submarine in the album. I think in the movie that happens when they save the day, if I remember correctly.
I think if I remember, this song was played when they arrive in Pepperland, if I remember correctly. But it's been a while since I've seen the film.
It has. Not even joking, the last time that I listened to this album in full and watched the Yellow Submarine movie all on the same day was in 2020 when I listened to every Beatles album in one day and then followed that by watching the Yellow Submarine movie.
Well, what I gotta say is, out of all the George Martin songs, this was my favorite one.
Okay.
I will actually go back to this one. I love the fact that it's a marching band version of Yellow Submarine. I love this genre of that. I thought that was an inspired choice. And I like the triumphant nature of it. Of side 2, this is my favorite one. Very memorable. Well, after that, insane song reviews, especially on side 2, what are everybody's top 5?
I'll make it quick. I made this one out. This was the easiest one to do so far. Number 5, Only a Northern Song. Number 4, All Together Now. Number 3, Hey Bulldog. Number 2, Yellow Submarine. Number 1, All You Need Is Love.
I have 8 honorable mentions. March of the Meanings, Pepperland Waste, Sea of Monsters, Yellow Submarine and Pepperland, Sea of Holes, All You Need Is Love, and Only a Northern Song. Number 5, It's All Too Much. Number 4, Pepperland. Number 3, Hey Bulldog. Yeah, I'm switching to last minute. Number 2, Sea of Time, and number 1, All Together Now.
For a moment, I thought you were going to say "Sea of Time" was your number one.
That's me too. I was like, yeah.
No, I doubled down. Altogether now is the best on the album. I
Yeah,
said
you
it.
already said it. Yeah, can't go back.
Like, it's like, I died.
I did say Hey Bulldog was my second favorite, but I switched it with CF.
Good time. All right, number 5, I got Pepperland. I think it's actually a really good instrumental. So it got into my top 5, which I wasn't expecting that to. But number 4, I got Hey Bulldog. Number 3, Yellow Submarine. Number 2, It's All Too Much. And number 1, All You Need Is Love.
Number 5, Sea of Time. Number 4, Yellow Submarine. Number 3, All You Need Is Love. Number 2, Only a Northern Song.
Wow.
Number 1, Hey Bulldog.
I mean, I thought you said you hated "Only a Northern Song."
Wait, did I say Only a Northern?
Did you? I thought you said "Only a Northern Song."
Yeah.
I was thinking It's All Too Much.
Oh, okay.
Shoot, it's All Too Much is what I meant to say. Did I actually say none of those?
You said,
I hate that one.
That's where you said "Only a Northern Song." Like, oh, did you change your mind
No,
on it?
number 2 is It's All Too Much.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was thinking George Harrison, and the wrong one came out.
All right. Well, I got 2 honorable mentions: Yellow Submarine and Pepperland, and Only a Northern Song. Number 5, It's All Too Much. Number 4, Yellow Submarine. Number 3, All Together Now. Number 2, All You Need Is Love. Number 1, Hey Bulldog. All right. And what's your score's going to be?
So I'm going to go 5 out of 10, and those 5 go to the 5 that is on my list exclusively. And that is all.
Well, I'm going with a 10 out of 10.
10.
Yes,
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. It is my score. I won't force you to score your albums a certain way, and you're not gonna force me to score my albums a certain way. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10, regardless of what anyone says. Even if my own father said, "Nick, you gotta change it," I'd be like, "Sorry, Dad, you can't change my score. I'm going 10 out of 10."
Change it right now! Change it! You dummy! I'm just kidding.
Just blow my brain off.
Wow, the overall score is going to be very interesting because Nick's score is going to rate up pretty good.
No, I might have to put it a little lower than I was expecting.
You really gonna lower it just because of my score?
No, I'm gonna keep it exactly where I was gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. The 4 originals aren't the greatest, I think. I mean, Hey Bulldog, It's Not Too Much is good. And the 2 other ones are, I mean, the 2 from the other albums are great. Just that we had another album, so it's like okay. And then the second side, like Pepperland's great, but everything else I didn't care for, so that really hurt the album. Especially just the fact that we have instrumentals on second side really hurt the album for me, and that's why I never listened to this album.
Fair criticisms.
I was gonna give this a 5 for average, but for Hey Bulldog and It's All Too Much, plus Yellow Submarine and All You Need Is Love, is gonna be a 6.
All right.
All right. It's a 6 for me. Very, very similar to what Scott's saying. I think it's not a horrible album. I actually like all the originals. It's got some really good. Even the repeats are really good. I think the actual vocal Beatles songs on this album are really good. I'm not the biggest fan of the George Martin half, with the exception of the 3 that I like. I think it kind of hurts the album. This is easily my least favorite Beatles album, but if your least favorite's a 6 out of 10, that's still not the worst thing in the world when other bands and other artists have had worse albums. I did average the score for the 5 of us. It's a 6.5.
I'd certainly save that from going any lower.
Yeah. It actually has a higher average than both With the Beatles and Beatles for Sale. So
which I'm very happy.
I think you saved that. I think you saved it because I personally like With the Beatles and Beatles for Sale over this album, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if Nick gave it a 6, it'd just be like 5.5, I think, score. So we all kind of averaged it out because we all gave it's kind of the same score except for Nick.
Yeah.
Me and Ryan kind of averaged it out.
All right. Well, that wraps up our review of Yellow Submarine. This was probably the wildest review I've ever done on this channel.
Yeah.
Alongside Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And put presents in there too. That's not this channel, but
Yeah, I was on your channel.
Yeah.
Top three reviews for me, I'd say. Crisis Hills and Ash, Buffalo Springfield with me, Jason and Breyer, and this review are top 3 album reviews for me.
Yeah. So next up. Oh, sorry.
The Sgt. Pepper's with the whole When I'm 64 was.
Oh, that was
that was like its own. That was like a part of review.
I think if we're going to talk about what my favorite review I've ever done was, I hate saying this just because Breyer wasn't on that video and I want to do one that everybody was on, but I would probably have to go with the White Album Part 1. I remember that one being super fun.
That's a great one. My favorite album review, which sucks because Jacob and Scott wasn't on there, but my favorite review is me, Breyer, and Jason's review on Buffalo Springfield, where
with Mike Nesmith.
And we just went on a whole tangent about the monkeys for like a half hour. It was a fun review.
It's like a review of the monkey. It's like, can you find the hidden monkeys review within our Buffalo Springfield review?
Exactly. Like I could have cut that out and put that as its own thing. Like me, Breyer, and Jason discussing the monkey for like a half hour. That could have been its own hit video right there.
Well, next up on the Beatles series, it's definitely going to be a favorite album of probably most of us on the stream. It's definitely one of their biggest albums. Abbey Road's next. I'm excited about that one.
Okay, I'm excited about. You see, I got the poster up there. There's a reason. This thing is in my top at least 2 favorite albums ever.
Yeah, so you get Roads and then Let It Be last.
Yeah, that'll wrap up the Beatles series, and then we'll rank the albums. I want to do an album ranking too.
Oh, we're almost done.
Yeah, we're on the last 2.
I'm sad, but then I remember all of these solo Beatles records we got to go through.
No, I've actually gone ahead. Ringo's first 2 albums are amazing. Spoiler alert.
Paul McCartney's debut. I'll give you guys a hint. He wasn't as into it as.
I'll say the press wasn't really favorable about it either.
I'm with the press. That's rare. But any final thoughts before we wrap up this review?
I'm trying to find some, but I need.
There's only one way we can go out: singing all together now. All together now.
All together. Now.
No, Paul McCartney's not dead.
No.
Thank goodness.
No, his last album was in 2021. McCartney 3. He and Ringo recently teamed up and did one last song together with an AI John Lennon.
Oh, really?
No,
now and then.
Now and then, yeah.
They just use AI to extract his voice. That wasn't AI.
It wasn't 100% AI. They just used it to tweak his voice.
Separate his voice from the instrumental track.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good song. I liked it.
I have the... Well, maybe we'll discuss that. I have the record of it.
Yeah, well... All right. So, thank you all for tuning in. See you all the next time when we come together. Over me.
Over me.
Ba-da-da-boom.
Shoot.